I'm Shalina
Hello.
Tobin, aka Posh Nosh Gal. Today I'm with the fantastic Cyrus Todiwala MBE. Cyrus started his business life as a busboy in Mumbai. He rose through the ranks of the hospitality industry and moved to the UK in the early 1990s to become one of Britain's most recognized and celebrated Indian chefs of all time. A warm welcome, Cyrus. How are you?
I'm very good, Shalina. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So have you been inspired to start any online related activities at the moment?
Yeah, we are putting some videos on Instagram, on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and it is inspiring because at the same time, there's lots to be done. I mean, for example, the people who supply our restaurants, we work very closely with the farming community. And it's the farmers that supply us directly, and they are all in trouble now
Of course.
because restaurants, hotels, everything shut. Some of them are overproduced, they don't know what to do with the produce. So trying to help them to access the domestic market, get in touch with people, see if they can directly deliver and things like that. Besides, of course, you need to keep people engrossed. And I think the thing is, there are hundreds and thousands of videos online.
Yeah.
Very difficult to figure out what people want, what do people really want to see. And I think that itself is inspiration enough because you have to think outside the box a little bit. There
Yeah.
are far too many recipes for people available. They can click. I mean, you got hundreds of my recipes online.
Yes.
So there are hundreds of recipes. So it's important to see what people actually put. I put a simple video last week about boning a chicken. I thought it may not work. But imagine the number of people that wrote back and said, "Thank you so much. This is something we are afraid of doing at home, but you made it look so simple."
Yeah.
And it's things like that. So it's great. If people respond back to me, I'm tempted to do more things for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's great. I did see the deboning of the chicken. I don't have the courage to do that myself.
Very good.
I'm
Get Mike to
terrible
do
with
it
a
for you. Get
knife.
Mike to do it for you.
Yeah, Michael definitely. He's definitely very hands-on and good with that sort of thing. So Cyrus, tell me, you've achieved so much. You've achieved a huge amount in your career, starting as a busboy in Mumbai. And here you are a successful TV personality and a restaurateur. Walk us through your journey.
Oh boy. You know what? I've been cooking for nearly 44 years. That's a long time cooking.
Yeah.
Imagine that kind of journey. It's a big journey. But yes, India was great. It was always a lot of passion. I worked for the best hotel group in India, the Taj Group of Hotels, and lots of exposure there, of course, moving through different kitchens, moving through different places, always learning, and honing your skills as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, meeting some great people, cooking for super celebrities, cooking for royalty, cooking for very, very important people, that makes you really aware of what is demanded of a chef in later on in life. Of course, that ended up with me being eventually, before I left, I was group executive chef of the Taj Hotels in Goa.
Yes.
Moved out from there, joined a friend, opened a restaurant with him in Pune. The partnership didn't work very well. We migrated to Australia.
Okay.
And then a friend said, "Why don't you come to UK? We'll run a small restaurant together." And that's how it happened. Next thing you know, we were in London.
Yeah.
And then life changed from there. It became different.
And would you say that friend was responsible for your big break, or is there someone else that you could single out?
Actually, that friend was responsible for bringing us to this country.
Mm-hmm.
Poor chap, he's not alive anymore. God bless his soul.
Okay.
And the vision and the dream that he had to do with me got faded out during the recession in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And so he moved on. I stayed on. I moved on from there. The big break came when we went into partnership with our first partners in Cafe Spice Namaste, the gentleman called Michael Gottlieb, who's a very established restaurateur,
Yeah.
very famous man. He approached us. We got into a partnership, and Cafe Spice Namaste was originally his vision. And then it just blossomed out of there. And things started to change. It became the restaurant that broke all the barriers. Namaste started doing that first. We
Mm-hmm.
started to change the face of Indian food in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cafe Spice Namaste added on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, it never cottoned on to me. I did my first television interview in 1996. I did a few programs also for the BBC, but it never cottoned on to me that I should perhaps maybe do a little bit more on that side.
Right.
It wasn't my interest. My interest always was passion was cooking, being in the kitchen, creating, serving the customers and making them happy. And that's what it's been. So since then, you can say Michael Gottlieb and three people actually. First is Pat Chapman, who founded the the Curry Club of England actually. I used to do cookery demos for Pat. When I came here, Pat of course got in touch and we did things together. And then when Michael Gottlieb wanted to ask him how he could find a good chef to help him to succeed in this restaurant, he says, you don't have to go to India. The man is here in England.
Yeah.
And that's how Michael Gottlieb got in touch with me. But before that, a very famous food critic called Faye Mashler. She was the Evening Standard's major domo. Faye Mashler made and broke restaurants. She gave me a glowing review, and that changed the whole perception. The same people who walked into Namaste and walked out, not understanding what my food was all about, started to come back. And Faye Mashler was the one who actually established that we needed a change in the cuisine. So it was Pat Chapman, Faye Mashler, and then, of course, Michael Gottlieb.
Excellent. That is absolutely brilliant. And, you know, it just takes even just one person just to help your career, and then you just go flying.
Yes, if you have it in you to make it fly, you can make it fly.
Yeah. And your MBE was for services and education.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about that.
Oh boy. So come 1992, 93, when we took over the restaurant, I thought coming to England would be no more headaches of English language. No more headaches of my staff not speaking English or they're not communicating properly. And that was it. Living in India, working in India, you communicate in so many languages. So I thought Britain, fantastic, no problem. How wrong I was. The staff at the restaurant that inherited me could not speak good English at all. The service was appalling. To them, the customer was somebody you just chucked the food at the table to. And the customers also didn't behave very nicely in those days. So we embarked on a mission of educating them ourselves. What happened was we started to do training ourselves, language training. We had a neighbor's husband who used to teach English language, and we got him involved in doing classes with the staff till the local authority got in touch and somebody told them that this chap is, doing training. And they approached me and said, we can help you. I said, I didn't know you could help. In India, we pay for everything. He said, no, we can actually support you as well. And that's where the relationship built up. And we launched an initiative called the London East Business and Training Partnership. So we got the training bodies to train the staff the way the restaurant industry wanted them. And from there it grew, and I got involved in many, many activities. So yes, I think I got involved in more activities in training, developing young people, teaching them the art, other things.
Yeah.
And then one fine day, the MBE arrived. And prior to that, I had got involved. Of course, news had spread by that time about what I was doing. And when 1997, when the Labour Party came to power, Mr. David Blunkett invited me to join his select committee to advise the government on education and training targets. And so I joined that committee. And after joining that committee, I guess I got more deeply involved in education.
Yeah, and then you were awarded the honorary doctorate and also a professor.
Yes.
So that's how it led on to that.
We led on to that, then led on to the OBE. Before the OBE, of course, it led on to the deputy lieutenancy. So I became a deputy lieutenant of Greater London in 2007, I think. 2009 came the OBE. So yes, it's been nice actually to be recognized.
How do you feel about the amazing success that you've had, and do you feel that you've achieved all that you wanted?
I'm not that kind of a person, unfortunately. I will still trundle on and trudge on and keep doing things. So success for everybody is different.
Yes.
And success means different things to different people. I think I still have a lot more to do.
Right.
I have a lot more to achieve and a lot more to do for people.
Yeah.
And I think if all goes well, yes, in 2000, we opened our own school for the very first time.
Yes.
We started the first Asian and Oriental School of Catering. Unfortunately, the people in charge of funding education didn't believe that hospitality was important enough. and we lost that funding. And I think that dream shall happen again one day. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
when I'm a bit older, we shall invest back into starting a school that really takes the young people, educates them, trains them, and puts them back into professions that they would like to achieve.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, to be honest, the accolades keep coming. Your culinary work has been recognized with an OBE as well. Is a knighthood next?
I don't know about that. I'm not gunning, gearing. I'm not, I mean, it needs a lot of people who are watching you, seeing you doing things to recommend you for it, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is not something that is a problem for me or is something that I would aspire to. It was something that if it comes to me, I will take it very seriously. That is for sure.
Yeah,
Because for me, the most important thing is, do I deserve it first? If I am deserving enough to have received it, then what are my obligations?
mm-hmm.
And I think that is a very important thing for me personally, because it's obligation. I am somebody, I need to be able to represent what I have been given.
Yeah, yeah, and you do give back in a big, big way. And you've got restaurants, you've got an online business, you've got cookbooks. How much time do you actually spend running the empire versus actual cooking?
Oh boy, first love is cooking.
Yeah.
We are the first people to enter the restaurant in the morning. And there are a lot of things that I cook. I am not a line chef anymore, but I am definitely one that gives them all the backup in the preparation and the cooking and everything else. So I'm still very much hands-on.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to drag myself away from the kitchen
Yeah.
and concentrate on other things, but then I have a brilliant wife
Yeah.
who does all of that for me.
Yeah.
Evening times, I go on my visits, I go on my rounds. I start early afternoon. I would visit two of the restaurants, come back to Cafe Spice, be part of the service in the evening before we depart for home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very much there.
Yeah.
Haven't yet taken a backseat and say, let's look at it differently.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a weakness. Maybe that is a weakness.
No, I don't think so. I think as long as you've still got that drive in you, then, just keep giving.
I
So
think
let's talk
that's
about Zest Quest Asia. How did
yes.
that training academy come about?
So it came about simply because the school could not go on.
Mm-hmm.
I still believe very dearly that we need to train young British talent into the Asian cuisines of this world,
Yes.
because Britain is this massive melting pot.
Mm-hmm.
We have every cuisine in the world you can imagine, from the lowest of the low standard to the best standards in some of the better known cuisines, right from taking Indian to Chinese to Thai to Malay to Indonesian to Middle Eastern to whatever we take. And we are not doing enough to educate the young British budding chef to look at these as an option.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to, or she needs to understand that the world is bigger out there, rather than just focusing narrowly on modern British and French or classical Italian, these three cuisines. We want to widen the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So the best thing, because the school was dedicated to us picking up young people that colleges didn't want, schools didn't want, to bring them in and to make them study. They were not necessarily cut out for the industry all the time. But now we are targeting those who are actually interested in making a career in the industry. And the competition was launched. With the competition, in a year or so, we launched the Todiwala Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that we can get more money from people. So we build up the resource in the foundation and use that to deliver training. So use that, for example, for a poorer kid who can't afford to pay for education, to give them a small bursary so they can go to a college, educate themselves. And the competition actually has become very successful. It'll be in its 8th year now.
Right.
And it's a big competition. It's grown nicely. Thank you very much for all the sponsors and supporters. And the winning team is always sent to an Asian city to work for 10 days in a hotel, in an environment, smell the food, change the food, go to the market, sense it, feel it, get inspired by all that, and
Yeah.
come back hopefully and be inspired to look deeper into it.
Yeah.
And so far, it's been successful. Two
Excellent.
of the chefs who went on a winning trip to Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
two of them are working with us. One's working at Mr. Todiwala's kitchen at Terminal 5, and one is working at Cafe Spice. And they
Excellent.
both got completely immersed in it.
Right.
So it's catching. And there are 4 or 5 others who are working in different places, but have chosen to go down the Asian restaurant route.
Right. Well, you spend so much of your time on charitable projects. It's easy to see how your social responsibility has influenced your restaurants as well. Weren't you voted the most ethical restaurant in Britain?
Yes, most ethical sourcing restaurant in Britain, Cafe Spice Namaste. Yes, very proud of that.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And I think, there's a lot of people who are actually going into, more ethical ways of business, and it's catching on quite quickly. I think everyone is just becoming a lot more responsible.
Yes, I think it needs to happen more and more.
Yeah.
For example, I told you in the beginning, we work very closely with the farming community.
Yes.
So 98% of all our meats come directly from farms.
Mm-hmm.
And we work very closely with the farmers because they have to meet our standards first.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a very strict pattern that we follow in terms of their sustainability, their ethical credentials and everything else, and what they practice and how they practice, and whether it is the best, the safest, and the kindest way to operate an animal farm.
Yeah.
On the other side of that are the fresh herbs, the vegetables, the potatoes, things like that. And we work very closely with those people as well to see that what we are sourcing, we get what is essentially the best of British.
And so, I mean, before lockdown, did you have an opportunity to visit other restaurants very often?
Not as often as both of us would love to. Not as often. We'd like to. It's sometimes we plan. I mean, think of it this way. One of our good friends is Michel Roux Jr. In 25 years of staying in this country, I still haven't visited the Gavroche.
Oh, wow.
Something comes up every time. He gets mad at me. On a busy night, he gives us a table and then he says, "You're canceling again?" I have to cancel again. Something goes wrong. And this is our greatest letdown sometimes because I'm a hands-on guy.
Yes.
And Pervin works front of house.
Yeah.
We get stuck back in. And as much as we would love to go meet other chefs and try the food and exchange ideas and meet with them, sometimes it's just not our luck to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're very dedicated and devoted to your business. So who or what is it that inspires you?
I think that question is asked of me many times. But I tell you what inspires me really, Indian women. Okay. I love talking to older women. They have this encyclopedia in their brains that they don't share with people.
Yeah.
That they don't share. And they are shy to share because they think, why am I talking to you? You know everything. I know nothing. I know nothing about India. We know such a tiny bit about India. India is massive. The cuisines are so diverse. It would take me 25 lives to come back and master it.
Right.
So it's always there. And then you see them working in the homes when they're cooking for you, the art, the techniques. It's just pick it up and try and do something else with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one thing. Then, of course, going to markets, going to shops. I get involved in lots of exhibitions and food festivals in Britain. Just going there, meeting people, talking to producers, suppliers, seeing other chefs is inspiration enough. It's how much you want to do with yourself. And I think the ideas come brimming, brimming, brimming. If you just look at it, those are my pieces of paper with ideas on them.
Oh, that's cute.
Transform them into recipes. They're just scribbles everywhere. Okay,
Yeah.
so these are ideas that come and then I will formulate them. Then we'll try something out and see if it works and then put it back into practice. But a chef learns a few things in life. So my learning came when I was transferred to Goa. And I was transferred to Goa from Bombay. And all of a sudden, from running a kitchen within the Taj, I was running a hotel kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
My team jumped from 4 to 5 individuals to 60 individuals straight away. And that came as a slap on my face straight off. And suddenly you realize that I cannot be this young man who flies around this kitchen doing different things, joking, laughing, doing different stuff. Suddenly I'm a manager. Right. And I think that dawned on me in 1982 when I was transferred to Goa. All of a sudden I was shaken up and I was given this big responsibility of working your costs, your controls, your this, your that, handling staff, doing appraisals, all sorts of stuff. And all of a sudden you are a chef, but you're also a manager. And I think that became one of my biggest learning curves. And it molded you from being very carefree
Mm-hmm.
to somebody who now had a responsibility. So I
Yeah.
think chefs go through those phases as well. And some of us can shape up to it, some of us shoulder it well. Others just simply will prefer to go cook in the kitchen or do admin work and not get involved in the kitchen function anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So hospitality is just amazing.
Yeah. Well, it did you a lot of good, though.
Oh yes, it's my blood. It's in our bloods. We can't do anything else now anyway.
Yeah.
I would have been a farmer had I not got into catering college. I
Yeah.
would have gone into farming or agriculture, something, because the nature and growing things and seeing things come to fruition always excited me. They
Yeah.
still excite me.
Yeah.
They always excited me. But God knows what I would have been.
Well, who cooks at home?
Well, we both do, but the boss cooks more than I do.
Okay.
She's an
Anything but
amazing cook.
aubergines, right?
I can't eat aubergines. She loves aubergines. But yes, I mean, she trained to become a chef. She became a chef. Unfortunately, her life changed because she decided to marry me. And I said, I cannot have you being my boss at both sides. You'll bully me in the kitchen, you bully me at home. I said, we can't have it that way. You should move to the front row. And she's amazing anyway. She's fantastic.
Yeah,
So
well, clearly you work well as a team.
yeah, it has to work as a team. Otherwise, we would kill each other.
Well, no one would want that.
Yeah.
So you must have an amazing array of spices at home. Do you use spices just for flavor, or do you think they have medicinal purposes as well?
Oh, good topic. My first thing with spice is the medicinal purpose of spices. The flavor, the things that it does to bring together are very much primary, but also secondary. In their primary sense is, if spices induce flavor, taste, and profile, that's what makes food exciting.
Mm-hmm.
When food becomes exciting, the body gets nourishment.
Yes.
When food is just something that you put into your system to live, it's a different aspect altogether. So yes, from the very young age, I knew about spices thanks to my dad. Dad was very deeply immersed in his medicinal properties of spices. He had this old Gujarati encyclopedia, massive. I can never translate it. It's in very old Gujarati, so I struggle with that language. It's very old.
Mm-hmm.
The weights and measures were in those days in India akin to weights of coins. So the coin became a weight, and we don't have this coinage anymore. But I would, even when I came to this country and I would make a pickle, I'd tell Dad, I want to put this. He said, stop, give me half an hour, call me back. And he'd say, you can't put it. People will get indigestion if you do that. You cannot mix this with that.
Right.
And so I was very, very fortunate, and it became a matter of interest. And I did quite a bit of work on that. And I think it works because you know what the dish can do to a person. At the same time, you must understand what the taste profiles are.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think spices and condiments, they are the foundation blocks of great food.
Yeah. Well, your sauces and condiments must be doing really well at the moment, because you sell them online, don't you?
We do sell them online. We can do well, but we closed the restaurant down. You see,
Okay.
at the moment, we followed all the staff, and I'm not there to make all the condiments either. So that's my job.
Okay.
And our young son who runs the website, he'll be coming, Dad, you didn't do this, Dad, you didn't do that. So Dad has to go and prepare. So all the masalas, all the powders, all the condiments, I hope in a few weeks' time, we'll be back up and running, and then we should be putting them more online and selling more.
Yeah. And I believe you've got, you're looking after bees. Are they on the rooftop of that restaurant?
Well, the beehive has been donated to our local school to help kids understand what beekeeping is.
Right.
And it's doing very well in the local school. The children are doing an amazing job. They have their own tiny gear, and they look after the bees. And we had 3 years of great honey from those bees. And then I thought, yes, maybe we should let children have more fun with it, because they need to not have the fear of the bees.
Yeah.
And if more and more people can keep beehives in London, we can get some amazing honey in the city, at the same time preserve a very vital resource, because a lot of bees have been decimated. Britain has lost about 60% of its bees, and we need to help bring them back.
Yeah.
And London is the best place because there are no pesticides, no fertilizers, no insecticides sprayed anywhere. So the honey is nearly organic
Yeah.
in many respects. So yes, bees were great. They were just an amazing opportunity. And the beehives were built by the prisoners in the prison at
Oh,
Hyde
fantastic.
Prison. So it helped us to give the prisoner the task to build the hives.
Right.
Then the boxes were delivered to us and we kept the beehives.
That's fantastic. You're clearly very passionate about that. What other passions do you have?
Oh boy, can't start. I think you might have to ask my wife. I go completely bonkers about many things. I'm very keen on, at the moment, because the local school we work with, where the beehives are, we also embarked on a growing program with them. And the kids between 6 and 12 actually cooking every 3 times a week, properly cooking. So we are teaching them nutrition. They are getting to grow their own food with the promise that if they have anything surplus, I will buy it all from them.
Right.
So, but at the moment, we are working, once everything settles, on growing Britain's forgotten foods. So I want to start growing things like cardoons, which for 150 years have been out of fashion, and the British barberry and British other plums. And we've already ordered the trees and the plants, and they will go into the school. The children will look after them. And then we will work with them and teach them what food used to be and why we still need to go down that route and discover what people ate in Britain 100, 200 years ago during all the wars, etc. So that's another part of that. That is evolving at the moment. Passions are plenty. I can't even start. I mean, I am the chef ambassador for the Marine Conservation Society, the only chef ambassador.
Okay.
So safeguarding Britain's marine resources is very much my passion. And we made several videos on fishermen boats to go out and educate the British public that we need to eat more British shellfish. We need to eat more British seafood. We only look at imported seafood many a times. It's wrong. We need to look at Britain because we have a great coastline. We have very clean water, some of the cleanest in the world. And we have a fantastic array of shellfish and seafood. But we get stuck with the place, the turbot, the trout, or the cod, or hake, or halibut. We don't look at the other fish. And we need to do that more. So amongst that, my other role is I am the chef ambassador for the Rare Breed Survival Trust. And the idea is to make sure that all the traditional breeds of Britain don't go extinct. So I am the patron of the British Lop Pig Society, strange as it may sound. It's a pig and it's an Indian who is the patron of the Pig Society. But it's one of the rarest pigs in the world and we need to safeguard those. So there are lots of things that I'm involved in. So as a ambassador for rare breeds, for the Shellfish Association of Great Britain, the Marine Conservation Society, I'll be doing things next week for the Marine Conservation Society. There's a company that's going to send me 26 different tins canned seafood. And they want 26 quick recipes on what people can do with the seafood. So the money that's raised will go for cleaning our beaches.
Right.
And that's the whole idea. So we'll raise money and we'll pay young people who volunteer but get a small amount of money to clean the beaches out or to involve in some project that helps to rebuild the subterranean seafloor, because a lot of it has been dredged to extinction, and what we can do to help life come back to those waters. So yes, there are quite a few things. I'll forget half of them anyway when I talk. But it's a lot of stuff.
You spend all your time, I think, giving back and educating. It's really, really inspiring, honestly. On a separate topic, what's your opinion on molecular gastronomy, where kitchen meets chemistry?
I am a chef. I'm not a scientist. That's the first. I admire people like Heston Blumenthal.
Yeah.
Okay. He is a genius. Even when you're talking to him, he is in a different world when he talks to you, because he's always aspiring to do something different. I wouldn't know the ABC of that. We are old-fashioned cooks. Some of the things that chefs use in the kitchens today, I don't know about. I need to learn a bit more. I do ask them what they're doing with certain things. But his idea is to get together and turn it. If I get more time, I would put a little bit more effort into that sometime. But at the moment, it has eluded me because molecular gastronomy has not been something I know well. And I don't think that's my kind of food. I am more hands-on, hearty food.
Yeah.
gives people the value for what they are there, rather than to go down a route which I don't understand very well, and whether I am giving people what they came for. It's
Yes.
a sensation. One must experience the sensation. It's fantastic, but it's not my kind of food. I am a bit different.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want a little bit of drama, I believe that dry ice can go quite
Yes.
a long way, and it's very simple.
Yeah, I have a friend who's just a manic about dry ice.
Yeah.
He is completely bonkers. We were doing a big food festival, not food festival, but a festival of food in Goa, to showcase what modern day British chefs are doing in Britain, and to see whether we can encourage young Goan chefs to come together, talk more, and exchange ideas on food. And boy, God, did he drive me crazy in Goa for liquid nitrogen. Imagine Goa getting liquid nitrogen. It was a nightmare. But yes, it's great if you watch what's going on the Great British Menu. They're all using nitrogen at the moment. Everything goes in, something comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine my beard getting stuck with nitrogen. I don't know.
Wait and see what happens. You never know.
I never know.
So what, in your eyes, is your biggest accomplishment to date?
Oh boy, it's very, very tough to answer that question. Greatest accomplishment. I don't know if I've accomplished anything even. But best decision, if you want to tell me, is marrying Pervin. Accomplishment wise, I don't know. But we've done some great things. I mean, in 2012, I was asked to cook Her Majesty's first Diamond Jubilee luncheon. Okay.
Yeah.
And imagine cooking for the monarch in England, but an Indian, cooking slightly more Indianized cuisine for Her Majesty. And that's an accomplishment. I mean, one of the other accomplishments was we hosted in Goa, the Taj Group hosted the Commonwealth Summit in 1983. And at that time, I had to look after 48 heads of Commonwealth state. It was a nightmare.
Wow.
But that's another accomplishment. And there are so many things like that. So there are so many stories, so many things. I don't know what accomplishments are really. When I wrote my first book was an accomplishment. Naturally, I was very excited. I got approached by a publisher. We did our first book. I put my mother's mayonnaise recipe inside, as a son should. And the first copy that came to me, I kept it for mom. And I took it when we went back to Bombay, showed mom, says, first cookbook I've written. She was very happy. I said, your recipe is in there. She taught me how to make mayonnaise when I was only 12 years old.
Wow.
Okay. So I was making mayonnaise. And you should have seen, I was deflated from there to zero because of one ingredient I put in my mayonnaise, which she never put, was Worcester sauce. I like Worcester sauce in a mess. She never put it. She says, how dare you change my recipe? She said, I don't put Worcester sauce. What will the world think of me? I said, Mom, the world doesn't know you.
Yeah.
Don't bother with it. But at least, no, she said. And every time somebody came home, she said, here's my son's first cookbook, but don't look at that recipe. It's not mine.
Well, actually, speaking of your mom, something really lovely that I read that she and your father used to do for you, used to work all day, come home at night when you were baking cakes, and they'd have all the ingredients ready for you. You come home from a long day at work, you'd bake the cake, and then they'd pack it off and send it for you in the morning.
I tell you, my parents were awesome. They would weigh my fruits, weigh the butter, the flour, the sugar, keep it ready for me. And they would line my molds and keep them ready for me. And I would come late at night. I would start baking after 11:30, 12 in the night.
Yeah.
And I would go to bed around 2:30 in the morning. They would get the cakes out in the morning. They would unmold them and cool them down for me. And then I would cut them, pack them, and disappear back to work.
Yeah.
And the caterer would come and pick it up from the house. So it was a lot of hard work. And from there, I started making candied peel was very expensive. So I started making my own candied peel for the fruit cakes. And then I started selling that candied peel. Then I had so much peel, I started making marmalades and jams. And then I started making wine, because in those days there was no wine in India, and all the Catholic weddings wanted wine. I said, okay, I'll make wine for you. And I started learning. I bought a little book from London, home wine making. And I started making wine for people. So my goodness, and did they back me up all the way?
Yeah, you've had a lot of support, amazing support.
Amazing support.
And it sounds like you've done everything.
Yeah, I threw my hand into everything and everything.
Yeah. So what is next for you? Are you planning, more TV programs? Is there more restaurants on the horizon? What is it that's coming next from Cyrus?
So one thing for sure, I think my dear friend Mr. Tony Singh and I, we do need to do more together. I think we made a great pair. Not
Yeah.
that I understand anything that Tony says to me. It goes well over my head. And then I grab a few of the words and I form them into my own sentences. But we had a great time. We had a great synergy. I think we are going to do quite a few things as the Spicemen. We have a plan. As soon as all this ends, I'm going to put a program together. The whole idea is raising money for different charities that I believe in. And I want Tony to get hooked into that. So we will raise money for all the causes that we do, but have some fun at the same time and give people some more entertainment. If a television program happens and comes, I think it'll be fantastic because we both would love doing that. The public would love it. We had super viewing figures when we did our program, The Incredible Spiceman. And I think on our 3 or 4 of the episodes, we reached almost 3 million views. And that is fantastic. So hopefully somebody will think that these two Charlies need to start cooking again together. There's so much to discover.
Yeah.
I've got so many farms I've still not visited with him. We'd love to do more work in Europe, twist European food slightly, make it more Asian, Indian, whatever. So that's one aspect. I mean, doing more restaurants, I don't know if something happens, it can happen. Yes, definitely looking at one of the things we started recently is these Goan influenced Portuguese tapas. And I think they are right for Britain as well at the moment. So we will dabble a bit more down that route because it is nice. Have a glass of wine, have a few tapas on your way. And that's a great synergy. As far as things go, boy, I've been asked to do 25 different things already. New book, definitely on the charts. Definitely on the charts. And life will go on like that. It'll go on till the day I drop dead. Boom.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing more of you and the Incredible Spicemen. You guys have such wonderful chemistry. So, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed those programs. So we look forward to seeing a lot more of you in the future. And stay safe. And thank you so much for joining us, Cyrus. Guys, if you want to keep up with what Cyrus is up to, you can follow him on Instagram at Cyrus_Todiwala, and I'm at Posh Nosh Gal.